Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for everybody that's subscribing, following. I appreciate it so much. Never take that stuff for granted. I'm just trying to get on here and provide some positivity, some good vibes. I'm not the most talented guy in the world. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I just like to have fun, and hopefully most of the content that I put on here resonates with somebody, and connects with somebody. I know there are people that don't like my vibe, and that's cool. Most of the comments I get, 95% plus, are positive, and I really appreciate it. And if you want to leave a negative comment, you're obviously welcome to the subject matter. So this channel started out several years ago as basically a channel about Norway. I'm from Norway. I'm very connected to it. We're going back again this summer after quite a few years. So I'm really excited to go back. But I thought I would just briefly, I've done longer versions of this, but I don't want to bore anybody. If you're interested in this, I'm just going to kind of tell my story of how I ended up here in Utah, starting from Stavanger, Norway. So I was born in Stavanger, Norway, 1963, and I'm not going to drag this out. So, it shouldn't be more than a few minutes. Born in Stavanger, Norway, 1963. Beautiful city. It's on the west coast of Norway. Fjords. Prekestolen is there. They call it the pulpit in English. If you saw Mission Impossible Fallout, I believe, that final scene where Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill are fighting with the helicopter, that's on Prekestolen. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful country. I miss it all the time. I have this really deep connection. These skis you see right behind me here, if I could point, they're cross-country skis. They're actually made in Norway. I'm working on this man cave down here. It's got a long way to go, but when I was about 1 year old, how do you say that? My parents converted to Mormonism, the Mormon church, and there just aren't very many Mormons in Norway. I think even now there are only a few thousand. Most people end up leaving the church, or they move somewhere where there's more people of that faith. So obviously I was too young to remember. I had already been baptized in the Lutheran church. When I was 8 years old, I got baptized in the Mormon church. We moved to Canada. So the deal was we were going to move to Australia. I don't know why. My dad got a wild hair. He would tell you that God led him. And let me do a little sidebar here. I know there are a lot of you, I say I'm not a religious guy, and I'm not, but I do believe in God. And I know a lot of you want, to save my soul, and I need to come to Jesus. And I respect your views, but I am very happy where I am. Sidebar over. That doesn't mean you can't leave your comments. Feel free. So we were going to move to Australia, and this guy that had lost his wife in this little town in Canada, I think he was traveling around the world, if I remember the story right, just kind of grieving his wife. And he was Mormon as well. He ended up in this, when it's a tiny gathering of people, they call it a branch. If it's bigger, it's a ward. And a bunch of wards together are a stake. So this guy ended up coming to church on Sunday, and he talked to my dad. I don't know how, actually. It must have been a translator, because my dad didn't speak a lick of English. None of us did. But somehow he convinced us to move to this tiny little town in the middle of the prairies in Canada. And that's where we ended up, Taber, Alberta, Canada. That's where I grew up. I have some memories of Norway. They're vague. But I also went back when I was 8 and when I was 12 again. And then I went on a Mormon mission there when I was 19. And then I've been back 2 or 3 times since then. So I speak the language. We moved to Canada, and my first real memories of Canada, I was almost 5 when we moved to Canada. My best friend growing up says he remembers when I only spoke Norwegian because none of us spoke any English, not a lick. I don't know how they did it. Brave doesn't even begin to say what my dad was. My mom, if it was my mom these days, she'd have said, no, I ain't going anywhere. I ain't leaving my family. But back then it was different. And, I started school when I was 5. My mom didn't know any, I don't think we even had kindergarten in Canada at that time, and she didn't know any better. She thought 5 was when you were supposed to start. So I started when I was 5. I remember walking to school, literally about a mile to school when I was 5 by myself. My mom took me the first few times, and then she's like, you're a big boy, you can walk. And, this town was a tiny town. There was no crime. So I grew up there. I graduated high school there. I have beautiful memories of that town. I loved growing up there. If you've ever seen the movie Stand By Me, it was Stand By Me. My buddies and I, when we were 10 or 11 years old, would hike down to the river bottom and go camping by ourselves, no parents. And it was just an idyllic childhood. I couldn't ask for better. I wish we'd have stayed in Norway a few more years so I would have had better memories. And I've got so many cousins and aunts and uncles over there that I know some of them, and some of them I barely know at all. And that makes me kind of sad. I went to college in the States. 1981, I went down to this place called Rick's College, which is now BYU, Idaho. Had a blast. I didn't do a lot of studying, but I had a lot of fun. I had a buddy come down with me from high school. We both went down, got an apartment, and just had the time of our lives. Then like I said, I went on a Mormon mission. And when I came back, I went back to Rick's College. I tried to get into BYU. They wouldn't let me in. It took me about a year and a half. I had to get my grades up because I screwed around so much. Finally went to BYU, and that's where I graduated. I met my ex-wife there, and we got married when I was 25 and a half. We were married for 5.5 years, had a daughter, beautiful, beautiful girl who now has 4 children of her own. It's amazing. My 4 granddaughters. I have 6 granddaughters total. But we got divorced. We were never meant to be together. We were better as friends than we ever were as, husband and wife. And I thought I wouldn't get married again for a long time. But one of my best friends introduced me to his wife's sister. So one of my best friends now and I are brother-in-laws. And I met my wife 31 years ago. We got married in November of 96, been married this will be 30 years this year. And I've been in the States ever since. Pretty much nonstop since then. And I love it here. This is my country. I know people slam on the US, but there's a reason millions and millions of people try to come here legally or illegally. And I don't blame any of them. I would try to come here. This is a fantastic country. We have flaws, absolutely, but this is an amazing country. Norway has my soul always. It's just, it's not something I can really describe. It's just in me. Canada is my adopted homeland, and I love it dearly, but I'm an American now. I've been here for so many decades now. This is home. We live in Utah. I have 4 kids. I had a daughter. My wife had a son who I adopted. And then we had 2 more kids. And they range from 25 to 35. 6 granddaughters. Life is fantastic. I am going to do more videos with more stories and more anecdotes. And I know the story I did a few videos ago, the freaky story. I've had enough people tell me I didn't put enough detail into that when I tell my next story along those lines, there will be details. I have another one that I had actually forgotten about until I told that story, and then it came rushing back into my brain, and I think I want to tell it. And if I'm going to, I will only tell it if I put all the details in, so I'll tell you that. Message received. I have no problem with constructive criticism or even just outright criticism. Sometimes I can get some good nuggets from just nastiness. But most of you are so cool. So, 10 minutes. I better end this. Thanks so much for watching. Tack för denna gången. Mrs. nästa gång. Thank you for this time. We'll see you next time. Sometimes I stumble a little over my Norwegian. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great weekend. Peace, love.